A time will come for the relentless and dedicated traders that really do show up day in and day out, and they talk to other traders, they study their system, they journal it out, they grow their skill. You've built a profitable trading system then at that point, and I would argue that you kind of deserve to get paid in a more substantial way. If you really think about what you're doing, it's the business of taking money from the market with purposeful, intentional trades that you have studied and understand. And so when you really get that skill, it's great to be able to take more money.
Just a quick pause before we get into this. Trading can be intense, and staying mindful during your session matters so much. That's why I created and am sharing a free 3-part audio experience that's helped me deeply. 1 for starting your day with calm intention, 1 to stay centered while you trade, and 1 to wind down with grace when it's time to stop. These tracks are yours. Just click the link in the description.
Hey, welcome back. Here at the Market Mamas podcast, I cover a wide range of topics from the intricacies of day trading to mindset mastery and psychological growth, with the goal of the conversations being next level growth for all of us. My name is Becky, and I'm a US-based futures day trader from the Pacific Northwest. My trading experience includes trading stocks, options, crypto, and futures, with both trading a personal account as well as with prop funding companies. Over time, I found that I most enjoy the fast-paced world of intraday futures trading, so that is my primary day trading focus now. Thank you for joining me on the Market Mamas podcast today.
Hey everyone, Becky here, welcoming you back to Market Mamas. Today I want to talk to you about something that every trader, new or established, struggles with and has to work through at some point, and that is leveraging up. The idea of taking on bigger position sizes in each trade or making the choice to copy your trade to multiple accounts simultaneously, thereby increasing your risk and exposure to the market. It's a really important hurdle to navigate for growing traders, but you got to deal with it. The heart of the decisions, though, it really is less about the money and more about trusting yourself as you grow in skill and experience. That has to be built over time. For me, I've been there many times, sitting in my charts preparing to enter a trade, considering all the variables for the trade, grading the opportunity in terms of quality and thinking through where and how I want to get into the trade and then out of the trade. Is it an A setup? Is it a B setup? How do I approach this entire opportunity in front of me? And in that contemplation, there's always a moment to consider my size. Oftentimes I will go with the static per my system, but there's something to think about, like in that moment and as your system progresses. With your trades, will it be smaller or a standard size for me? Or is this possibly an A+ setup coming right in front of me that I see coming? And should I consider taking it a little bit heavier then? I've been a trader for 4.5 years now, and I can plan for and take a pretty sick trade a lot of the times. But I still do hesitate at times on sizing up with my best trades. I'm pretty good at being consistent with size, but I don't always go full in when I feel like the opportunity is really good, when I have a lot of confidence is on my side, when the market context is really supporting the opportunity. There's a moment where I think I could size up, right? When I want to pull the trigger on that larger position. But in that moment, my mind can wander, am I ready for this? Am I sure about this setup? What if I lose more than I'm comfortable with, right? With that increased size? What if this leads to, a dreaded tilt day if it does lose and it lost heavier? So there's a lot of doubt that can creep in those moments. But if we want to grow as traders, as entrepreneurs in our trading business, you also don't want to stay stuck playing small forever, right? It's a balance to figure out. So let's kind of get into this a little bit more. Let's talk first about what leveraging up actually means. So leveraging up isn't just about position size, hold times, or copying to multiple accounts simultaneously. More so, it's trusting your edge. It's saying and getting yourself to believe that you've done the work, you've studied the setups, you understand the risk, and now you're ready to scale your position responsibly based on that work. But here's the thing. Leveraging up too early without the skill to back it up, it can be disastrous. If you have been a trader for more than a minute, then you know how fast wrecking an account can happen. We're talking minutes for day traders, and that's just the reality of the risk that we can get access to at our fingertips. There really is so much potential to make a ton, but also risk a ton, right? That's why it's essential to combine leverage with discipline and self-awareness in your trading system, as well as on your personal conditions when you're trading, right? You need to be intentional and cautious, but never reckless. Just because we can buy accounts that grant us access to 10 times the leverage of an early trader, 10 full-size contracts of the S&P futures index in any given trade, just because you might have the opportunity to trade that size, it doesn't really mean that you should. For many years, really, like that's a huge amount of leverage. Think of it this way. Trading larger positions is like turning your business from a side hustle into a full-scale operation. You don't just hire 5 people and open 3 stores on day 1. You grow gradually, making sure that your foundation for whatever your business is solid. In that situation, think about it like this. You have to stabilize your infrastructure, nurture important relationships to help you grow, learn the ins and outs of every aspect of your business, every single pitfall and risk and side aspect of it. You have to figure out your time management with the required tasks that just are the upkeep of the business. You have to start to achieve base profitability just to cover the costs as a minimum startup for your goals. It's the same with your trading. Nothing that has the potential to make you a multimillionaire is built in a year or even 5. But it can be strong and powerful if you let it take time and build that system intelligently and smartly with really good choices from the beginning, like coming at it with recognizing that the work that you're doing in the beginning, that you're like reaching out and figuring out everything that you need to know and how you need to approach it, that is key to actually the ability to scale it over time. And so to not try and rush that, because it'll be to your detriment in the end. And so it's like you have to kind of work from the end back and think about how you need to really build your system in the beginning in order to achieve the biggest numbers at the end. It's a different way to look at it. So let's break it down though. Okay, so step by step, we want to make this actionable, right? We're on this podcast because we're traders and we're trying to figure out how to be very successful, profitable traders. So let's see what we can do with that. How do traders actually leverage up responsibly? I know we all have opinions on this. If you're a trader, you have thought about this and considered what it would look like and how you'd approach it. So this is a framework that works for me, and I know a lot of traders also it works for them. And what you need to do is you start with your edge, right? Before you add size, make sure that you're consistently profitable with a smaller trade size. And this proves to you that your strategy works. And even that can be micros or just one mini contract over time, but smaller until you really establish a consistency with your trading outcomes, that you know when and how to both enter and exit trades responsibly and with specificity. So you've really outlined what you need and what you look for and how you get into your position, as well as what targets you use. And so after you created that edge that has some consistency and a positive expected return, then you can start scaling gradually. And I would definitely say, if you can, don't double your size in a day. You want to instead increase it incrementally, observing how your emotions and decision-making hold up through that change. Maybe even 10 or 20% of an upsize each time. And you can do that in the futures world with micro contracts, potentially when you're still trading the smaller realm. You know, you're trading 1 mini, you could trade 15 micros and then scale out at 555 potentially. There's different ways to use our opportunities in order to not just double or triple your risk when you feel like you want to start to size up, but to make it a smaller increment. Because I'm warning you, every size increase, it will have an impact on your psychological stability. It just will. So prepare for that, because when you see the numbers start to fluctuate and it's more than you traded before, if it dips red in a pullback, that dip's going to be bigger than what you've seen before. And when the money starts compounding and you start easing towards your target, also the P&L is going to accumulate faster, and both sides of that can make your heart rate increase, can make you have some anxiety, can give you some extra feelings about what to do with that trade. And so every time you increase your size, there will be an impact to your emotions. So, have that in your mind and do the best you can in order to stay focused through that. And then adjust your risk as you're doing it, not just your size blindly. So that's a way to kind of mitigate the downsides when you're going with higher risk. So in that situation, you want to know your stop loss and your risk per trade. Leverage doesn't mean just throwing caution to the wind. It means really being specific and applying that risk intelligently. For example, if you take a larger trade, you want to factor in the larger dollar amount of risk as well as the reward. So think of turning a $500 trade. Initially, maybe your trade setup with your base size would be $500 as your profit, but you want to turn it into a $1,000 trade. Well, you need to acknowledge and prepare that if you're going to do that sort of a size jump, going maybe, for example, from 1 minute to 2, if that is the choice that you want to make, you need to acknowledge and prepare for the risk on that trade. So maybe in that setup where your target would get you $500 profit, maybe the risk on that would be $300. But if you double it and do 2 minis, now it's going to be $600, right? And so think about what your account size is like and what would happen if you did hit that drawdown. And make sure that that risk is always within your account tolerance for sustainability, because you want to be able to get up and trade again the next day if that trade is stopped out. And if that trade is stopped out, what are you going to do about it if that happens? Is it going to make you tilt? Is it going to make you anxious? Are you going to want to fight to get it back? Or will you be able to maintain a steady presence of mind and focus on your system and decide in that moment, is that the day? Do you walk away? How do you handle approaching the rest of your day after potential risk has been taken on a trade? So factor that in when you're thinking about your size increase, because, the downside increases as well, potentially. And so if you do make a leverage jump in your trading system, I would strongly encourage, for any trading day, but especially during this transition period, to review and reflect what you're doing. After each trade or after each trading session, you want to ask yourself, did I handle this size well? Did I let fear or greed control me during the trading session? And this direct and honest reflection, it really does help you manage the impact that you're experiencing in real time. It's every day that you trade a different size, you're purposefully thinking about afterwards, how did that go? What did that feel like? Did I hold my own? Did it make me nervous? Was it maybe too much? Like I couldn't even sit still. I was dancing around and scared for the outcome. Maybe that means you went a little too heavy, a little too fast, or it wasn't an A+ setup. So maybe that's not the situation where you want to start leveraging up. And so having that period of thoughtful review and journaling it out will help you decide how to adjust potentially from there on. Like if you held your own and you stayed steady, then maybe that is the right amount of size increase and you want to just stay there for a little while and stabilize in that position size for a while. And so this time of reflection can really be helpful in adjusting and or recognizing that so far you're good. So far so good. You just keep working on it day in, day out. And then over time, this process builds confidence. You can start to trust yourself, which is the most valuable part of leveraging up, is the confidence that you amass within you as a trader. And that is actually required for the next level in your trading that we're talking about today. It's required because you have to feel like you can do it. You have to feel stronger and steady in this leveraging up, because you need to be able to execute with some sense of stability and focus. And that is built through this experience and purposeful and strategic system growth. So always being, careful and purposeful. I love that strategic system growth, right? For me, that is the business work, right? That is how we are choosing to purposefully start to get a little bit bigger as traders as we gain the experience. You're actively working through these choices and executions day to day as a trader. You think about your body, right? You're building a stronger body in the gym. You're taking a little bit heavier lifts every time. You're running a little bit farther. You're trying to push yourself, your pace a little bit quicker. So this is the reps as a trader. These are the reps that you're putting in every day in order to get a little bit stronger, a little bit steadier, push yourself a little bit beyond what you thought you could do last week. You trade a little bit heavier, as if you were lifting a dumbbell that's another, couple pounds heavier. And then with each incremental upsize, you want to normalize with each step up as you do it. And so with that growth movement, you just sort of raise up and then you stabilize there. You get used to that more strength. You get used to that additional weight. And then it doesn't feel as heavy as it did the first day you took that extra weight on. And so thereby, like over time, it kind of can make it not so scary. So when you do a 20% increase in size and then it is really nerve-wracking the first day and the second day, it's a little bit calmer. As time progresses, it's going to ease in and settle into your system. And maybe a month or two later, it feels like your new normal size and you're no longer afraid or uncomfortable with it. And then you can start to consider, maybe I could do another 10 or 20% upsize because now I am more confident. A couple months have built into my system. I see that my outcomes are still holding. These setups that I see, I continue to see them. I continue to be able to effectively capitalize on them. In that situation, then you can consider another size increase. Like that's the thing with trading. It really is exponential when we respect the fact and we do it intentionally and purposefully within our system, and our emotions are able to gain that skill and stability with us. So on this topic, I kind of want to talk about it from a different angle and a perspective for a minute too. Trading isn't just a skill, it's a business. I really find a lot of value in seeing my trading as a business, as a career path for financial freedom for my family. And like any business, growth requires risk. I would say that most successful entrepreneurs don't stay small because it's safe and content and easier to stay small, right? But if you really are the more successful in the entrepreneurial world, in that situation, you're the one who scales up. You believe in your vision and your ability to execute and your system and the outcomes that you've gotten so far and the ability to take it to the next level. And so that leverage is similar to trading. It's similar to contract size and trade copying because you're, upgrading your business and making it bigger and more powerful and increasing the revenue potential for your business. And so you don't want to stay stuck with micro positions forever, waiting for a perfect moment. And honestly, it's just not fair either to you and the experience that you are amassing as a developing trader. I think every time that you show up for your business of trading and you learn and you get bigger, better, stronger, more stable as a business person in the trading industry, you kind of almost earn the right to start taking more money from the market. A time will come for the relentless and dedicated traders that really do show up day in and day out, and they talk to other traders, they study their system, they journal it out, they grow their skill. You've built a profitable trading system then at that point, and I would argue that you kind of deserve to get paid in a more substantial way. If you really think about what you're doing, it's the business of taking money from the market with purposeful, intentional trades that you have studied and understand. And so when you really get that skill, it's great to be able to take more money. But to do that, you have to take calculated risks and you have to accept the losses because losses are still going to happen. And so if you can factor that into when and how and to what degree you leverage up and you control that system, then it teaches you more than playing it safe. I think that every time you leverage up and you take on that more risk because it makes you feel some kind of way in the moment, it changes you and it stabilizes you with a higher risk threshold. And doing it incrementally makes it sustainable over time and not quite so scary. So, be an entrepreneur that scales, but also eyes wide open kind of with it. When you push your limits, I love the idea of the ceiling, right? A lot of people will stay within the rooms that they've always been in and recognize the ceiling as the cap for where they can go in life. But if you instead choose to push your limits, you can break through and then you find the next ceiling up. You grow over time. And then when you break into the next space and there's another ceiling, that's your next active challenge to dig into as a developing trader. You want to, in that phase, stabilize in that next area, plan for the difficulties, work through them, deal with the room that you're now in, start to stabilize there, start to learn what you need to learn in order to be good in that arena. And recognize that there's going to be some new devils at that level, right? There's going to be some new struggles that you're going to have to work through, but then also new breakthroughs. You're going to find a bigger strength if you really focus on the work of it and holding through it and letting the challenges that you experience there reshape you instead of knock you back down and you stay down. And in those moments where you're taking bigger hits, then you learn more and you can learn more about yourself and your potential and what you could potentially do with that and how to manage that increased risk. And honestly, in this, analogy, you can just keep breaking ceilings endlessly. Like there really isn't a cap where you have to stay beneath if you think about it, and if you truly understand trading and the potential of it. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can trade the markets, futures, Forex, stocks, options with ETFs. There's so much potential on ways that you can expand and grow and approach it in different ways and use capital in different ways, and so many more ceilings to encounter and then figure out how to break through. It's really quite an amazing opportunity that there isn't just endlessly everywhere, but you do have to have a grit to persevere through all of those lesson stages that you're going to encounter that honestly with every level is going to be more and more and more. And so to anticipate that and just know that you're going to have to push yourself, but also hold steady through it. It's not impossible. And being prepared mentally as well as systematically will help you with that. And I think in that way, the lessons that you would encounter are blessings for like the best growth that is possible in this industry. And the game of leveraging up, it's pretty cool because if you can just stay calm and lean into your grit and hardiness and dedication to who you're becoming, it's pretty great. I love trading, right? That's why I have this podcast and that's why I come to you guys to talk about these topics because honestly, this is something that I am working through, and to talk it out with you, with my trading partners, with my trading communities, it helps me do more of what I love also and do it better. So on a personal note, this episode was at least partially inspired by some changes that I have made as a trader and an entrepreneur this fall. Maybe you've seen, but this October I officially accepted a role as a trading coach at the awesome prop firm BluSky Trading Company. And they are legit a strong option in the trading funding world. And I met their owner this summer when I persuaded him to be a guest on this podcast. His name is Mike Tolbert. He's really a great guy. And from conversations with him, we pursued the idea that I could bring some good energy and expertise to his already honestly really robust and educational trading live stream and content within the BluSky team already. I could just bring some fresh energy there. And it kind of stemmed from my work that I've been doing with Market Mamas and as a trader and who I've become. And so with them at this point, I did join their futures day trading live stream as a co-host a few days a week during the trading session. And then I also host a psychology lab conversation every Tuesday afternoon live streaming as well, and then posted after the fact. The reason why that inspired this episode extra beyond just the trading is that holy moly, was this a choice that triggered my imposter syndrome? Sure, I am a trader with more than 4.5 years of experience, and I've had a couple years of profitability now. But to live stream and coach, honestly, I hadn't planned for it personally when I received the offer, and I was really kind of taken aback. I didn't put it in my business plan at this point in my, approach to everything. It wasn't quite yet on my radar. I'm busy with the kids and my trading and Market Mamas, and so I hadn't prepared for that in my brain yet. But then when the offer came, I just had to think about it endlessly, right? And I had to rationalize my way through it. But the question, why not me? So I have a strong trading edge, a strong read of the markets. I study and trade and discuss the stock market seriously nearly every day for years. I'm wholly passionate about everything around trading. My Market Mamas podcast is 2 years old actually this week. So happy anniversary to me. And that has given me a ton of experience in discussing the critical components of the psychological element of becoming a profitable trader. It really has just created natural flow with these conversations that really help change me as a trader. And I think everyone that, hangs out with me at Market Mamas. And so honestly, it was a natural next step if I could sync up with an opportunity just like this. It was an organic growth next level that not only am I qualified for, but I am kind of already learning to embrace it as I become better in all of the roles. It's a mutual benefit, honestly, this role. Like, it's just another room to be in to talk about trading with other skilled traders and trading opportunities that we see intraday and the conversations around psychology and growth that inspire me, inspire others. Like, I'm fully willing to host these conversations because I know that it matters, that it changes us, that it makes us stronger. And so by injecting this whole logic that I just said to you into my decision making on this opportunity with BluSky, it was a no-brainer. I do have the necessary skills and experience. I definitely have a passion and an interest. I sorted out how I can not easily, but I can fit it into my family schedule with some adjustments and help from an excellent nanny that I love. And then I know that my business as a trader, it is who I am now. And so this is a natural next phase of it. When you've been trading for a few years and you really figure out a system and you get the people around you, like trading becomes a family, a business. For me, that's where I'm at in my trading career. Like it's a part of who I am and it's a part of my future. It's a part of my present, my future. It is allowing me to grow and purchase more new exciting things for my family that I didn't intend for previously. It's through and through now. And so this opportunity, it fits. And it's not so different really than trading with an additional futures contract as a retail day trader, right? I'm adding another role to my diverse trading work. And unintentionally, I have been training for this exact opportunity for years. And that logical view has been so grounding for me now that I'm deep into this new world. So I really love it. It's new still, so I'm embracing it and learning as I grow, definitely asking questions and finding my comfort level there still. But I think I was more ready for it than I thought I was, right? It wasn't such a stretch when I actually got into it. And the people at BluSky, like, they're really great, and they were so, welcoming, and I'm enjoying growing within their community. And so on the topic of leveraging up, this is entrepreneurship leveraging up in action for me this fall. And it's pretty cool. And it's an example of how your passion can blossom when you are relentless in pursuing the growth and all the potential of a thing, as I have been with trading and the podcast and being open to hosting these kinds of conversations. And so I would say that when you encounter challenges, instead of quitting or being afraid of them and choosing to abstain, I like the approach of just put your head down and work through it, give it a shot, see how it turns out, throw yourself in there, get in the room, take up space and do your best, don't half-ass it if it's something that you really want. But the doors, they will become visible in the next room that you step into if you just go for it. Go for it. And you don't even really know what all could be setting up for you. And that potential is pretty great. Before we round out for the day, let's pop back to day trading for a quick minute. I want to share a little story about a close trading friend. So early in his trading journey, he was pretty hesitant, honestly, to adding size. He would take small positions, make small gains, feel like he was doing something almost too greedy or without fully deserving it by considering taking that trade with a larger size or copying it to an additional count or two. He just never really felt like he was good enough, right? And then one day he bit the bullet and he scaled up on a trade that he had studied inside and out and understood it thoroughly. And it went beautifully. He was rewarded so much more appropriately, finally, for the incredible amount of hard work that he was building as a developing trader that he had been putting in for years. And I think more importantly, as he settled into his higher position size as time went on, even when things didn't go perfectly, he realized that he could handle it mentally and emotionally because he had built up to that. He was more ready than he thought also when he nervously decided to go in a little heavier. And it worked. Over time, that little heavier was just the new size. That's a turning point. When you know that you can trust yourself, you can scale with less fear. And in those weeks of adjusting to larger size and using the trade copier, this new and once was worrisome level of leverage, it was now his new baseline. And this leveling up that he had tackled, it was just one of many, many steps in a long and successful trading career that he is still young in. And honestly, that's very similar to mine too. I mean, I think we all will at different stages in our trading career decide when it's right for us to start taking on that additional size. And it's going to be different in terms of months and years for different traders and what the indices they trade and how much and how great their mentorship is. But just something to tackle. And when you do and you actually have the skill and edge to do it, then you're doing it responsibly. And it's a great phase to be in, I think. I think that push forward, it can give you the proof that you need to validate your potential and readiness for it. Because when you do it and you can hold your own, it's almost like, okay, I got this. This is the right thing. It's interesting and scary for moments, but it's pretty great too. All right, so here's the takeaway. Leveraging up is a skill. It's not a single move. It's a big whole part of your process. And so it's about trust and discipline and intentional risk taking. You don't want to rush it for sure. But also, I would encourage you guys when you get a little bit into your trading career to not stay stuck either. Treat your trading like your personal business. Scale it responsibly when the time is right. Learn from every decision, learn from every adjustment, everything that you do. Think about it critically during and after, and then make it matter in terms of how you approach it moving forward. And I would also say to remember that confidence grows with that experience. but it grows in a much more powerful way if you challenge yourself a little bit at a time, in bite sizes that aren't too startling to your stability, but do make little changes. And then you can incrementally make it happen. And it will build over time, right? If you think about, a 10% growth in size, even just every 3 months, that's a 40% growth in a year, which is huge. Like, it can really start to compound if you do it slowly, but you stay in the game and you let your skills grow with your leverage size. Over time, you're taking a little bit bigger trades and you're feeling more confident and you're seeing the opportunities more readily. Maybe you're starting to even get better with your entries, and then holding one runner as you leverage up. You can hold a runner to an even farther target potentially, depending on your size. And so when it really starts to grow and you just do it piece by piece, it's awesome. All right. I hope that was a little bit inspiring, a little bit educational. That was kind of the goal of it. And it was inspired definitely by that personal growth that I have kind of actively working through this fall, and I'm pretty excited. If you guys haven't checked it out, definitely look up BluSky, a prop trading funding company. They are really newer on the sea, but they've been around for a few years now, and they're really great. Like, their policies are constantly improving and getting a little bit better for the traders, and their customer service, the people on the back end at that company are really great. So check them out. Thank you for listening today. If you're thinking about increasing your size or taking on more risk, definitely do it thoughtfully and keep treating trading like the business that it is. Thank you for being here with me at Market Mamas. I am Becky, the host. And please, if you have a minute, if you made it to the end, I don't know why I'd make it to the end without being subscribed, to be honest with you. But if you're here with me, please do like, subscribe, share it with a friend. I know this topic can be pretty valuable for traders as they get deeper into their trading career. So hopefully people will find value and will share the conversation about. All right, catch you next time, guys. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself, because we got this. Bye.